let's get this party on the road. Traci,
Wulwyn, it's been so long.
been so long. You've been gone.
Sing it. So for those of you who don't know, Wulwyn and I were talking last night at about what, 5 o'clock. We're not referring to 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So you started with we're playing something, right?
Yeah, we're looking to go on a new platform. Hey, maybe we should ask our viewership, especially now that we have, a few people who come in on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should get a poll for anybody that knows they watch podcasts, they know what platform podcasts are on. What platforms do people like to watch podcasts on?
That is so true. So what would you guys think? OBS, StreamYard? Let us know, and whatever else is out there, you let us know. We're pretty much, want to come and do you guys justice.
That's right. Yeah. And make it relatively easy I would say for us, but I really mean for Wulwyn, because he's the tech guy behind the scenes. Until we hire someone to run the show while we just, yab along. So look what arrived in the mail.
Guess what? You think you're one up, but I'm one up on you. Are you ready?
What? You got the actual page on Amazon. Wow.
The actual page, it's the dawn of a new era. What we've always been told to do in order to be successful, valuable, and fulfill is shifting. Many of us have been well trained to follow the leader and do what the experts say. Yet, these same leaders and experts don't know any more than we do about what will work in this current time. We are being asked to learn how to be our own master and authority. Looking In provides compelling guidance for today's leaders and ... I'm not going to read it all. You go there. Here it is. Go to Amazon.com. Put Looking In by Traci. And as soon as I put Traci in there, Traci had Traci Phillips in books.
No kidding.
It comes up. I'm so proud of you. So proud of you. So proud of you. It's so tell me, how does it feel to see your baby?
To hold my baby, it was great because I was on a call. And the dog heralded the arrival of the new baby, and she's up there barking, and so I'm on mute, because she's barking. I was like, oh well, somebody arrived and delivered something. So I go to open the door, and there it is, right on the doorstep, my new little baby.
Amazing.
Yeah, it feels pretty good. I love it. It's exactly what I expected. I mean, there's a couple things, I am me after all. There's the first thing's like, oh, I gotta ask my publisher about this one little piece here that needs to be fixed, and this, but in general, I thank God I didn't do that when my baby came out. Well, we got to fix this. When it comes to books, you can actually do that and get away with it. But yeah, it feels good. I mean, I love it because this is what I wanted, Wulwyn. Like, I think you've heard me say before, I love books that are less than 200 pages. You can stick them in your purse even if you need to. They're easy to lend out. Like, it's not this tome and there's nothing wrong with tomes. I mean, everything plays its role.
Correct.
But I wanted something that, that could be easy to access, but that was filled with, hopefully, my hope and intention is it's filled with good stuff that really is thought-provoking, right? That really gets people to think and work through some of these things, but that isn't a bunch of my language, because ultimately I want less in a more succinct way and more time for people to dig in and apply it.
Correct. Wow.
Right? Does that make sense? It's kind of like every time I give a talk, I'm less about the standing ovation and more about the pin drop, because that means you're deep in thought. That means whatever I've delivered, you're working with. And that's the value, is what you can apply, not the words themselves, yes, that has value, but if it's not applicable and if you don't immediately take it in and apply it, it's not valuable to you.
Yeah.
Right? So
Wow, interesting, interesting. Before I got on that, so it was one of those things I was doing, finding it and setting it up, and I'm thinking I'm on the right
Aw.
platform, right ID, and then I go, where is she? Where is she? And not so, but yes, I am so proud, so proud. Welcome to Eavesdroppers. Thank you so much. We just talked about, and I'm pretty sure other topics moving forward will open up the pages, and I have to order. How do I get my signed copy?
Oh, I'll send you a signed copy.
But
I'm going to be
I
ordering my bulk order.
I still need to support the business, so I'm going to pay for it, because that's what we do. We support each other. So I'll after this. In fact, so it's only Amazon, correct?
It's on, yeah, it's only Amazon right now. We're working with bookstores. I just called around and got a bunch of emails for local bookstores that might be interested in it and sent that on to my publisher. And so they're going to basically send a blast out to those people and local libraries. So the other piece is that we get it in the libraries, so people don't necessarily have to buy it. They can go rent, check it out, read it, give it back,
Yeah.
So we're in process of that. And the other thing too is once we do all the tweaks on the cover here, it'll be going to ebook, so people can get it on Kindle on Amazon.
Excellent.
And then anywhere else books, basically anywhere books are sold, once we get all the stuff in order and make sure these little tiny tweaks that I sent her an email about.
Gotcha. Well, we'll be coming in, I think moving forward, and just when I get it, I'm going to open it up and just go to a page and try to deconstruct it. And we have you here, and we can get in the author's mind as we do this. That would be amazing. But I think last week we ended with a question from Jim.
Yes, we did.
Right.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, and I have that set up here, and it was, we had these, I think last week was a bunch of questions. You came on with the questions for us to ponder, and those questions were: who do we serve? What do you fear? How are you supported? What truly makes you happy? What are the addictions you desire to change? What are your energy leaks? What part of your current story are you truly done with? What are your disappointments, resentments, and judgments? Where are you not neutral? What are you not ready or willing to let go of? What are you ready or willing to let go of? What are your past unrealized dreams that are no longer viable? And lastly, what are your theories? What is your truth? And we went into discussing that. And at the end, I think it was at the 58th minute, Jim comes on and says, I want to make sure I did not miss something. How can we operate in the unknown with confidence? Is this associated with self-worth? Traci?
That's one of my favorite distinctions, actually. So I'm guessing and Wulwyn knows this. That's why he handed this baton off to me. and Jim, we were actually talking to him. I call him James because that's what he goes by me, but Jim's James. We were talking to him last night because he's a specialist, or at least he works on his platform in StreamYard. So, he was teasing with me about being verbose. So I'm going to be verbose here for a second.
Hey.
So this is the distinction I make between what a lot of people use the word confidence. And I use the word confidence actually on my LinkedIn profile page, helping people to be more confident, right, in their leadership positions. Mm-hmm. For me, the distinction between confidence and self-worth, right, or self-value, which I think equates to self-love, really, is that confidence is that we know how to do something. It's more a delivery of our abilities, right? Because we've done it enough times to know that we know how, or we've learned it in such a way that we feel ready to apply ourselves, right, in that particular way. That's really where confidence stems from, again, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Self-worth is this, when we talk about things like, identity crises, like imposter syndrome, and, some of these other things that have kind of become hashtag trends. That is more for me, not about confidence, because confidence, I mean, once you own who you are and you really know that value and you love that value, because the other thing is just because we know it doesn't mean we've owned it. Right? Just because we know it doesn't mean we've owned it. Like I could say to you, and I say this to clients all the time, you know, you're telling me these stories. Do you feel you have value? Yes, I feel like I have value, but they haven't fully owned it yet. And it's in the ownership and the embodiment of that value that we truly are practicing that love, right? That self-love and understanding, because we are the embodiment of our self-worth, right? So when we're working from that place, we're more like a tree with deep roots, so that if a storm comes along, it may tossle our branches and it may push us around a little bit, but it's not going to uproot us. Because we have owned the land in which we have driven our roots into, right? We are stable in that ownership. And that is a process. That's actually quite an extensive process. And one, you know, I talk about quite a lot. You know, if we're looking at the 4 stages of mastery, you know, first is awareness, then is engagement, then is ownership, and then finally mastery. And that ownership thing, it can take a while, because we actually have to enter this thing called the abyss, which is a complete surrender to false identity before we can enter that realm of ownership. And that's where a lot of people are starting to, they're bumping up against that abyss, right? They've developed a certain level of awareness. Hashtag the Great Resignation. I'm not happy in my job. I don't like the culture fit at my workplace. You know, maybe I'm not in the right position. I'm not doing what I'm passionate about. Right now, I got to think about, what do I want to do? Well, let me enter engagement stage. Maybe I want to think about starting my own business. Maybe I want to work in, you know, in a different, you know, arena. You know, what are my options, right? And let me try those out. Let me try them on for size. Let me talk to career coaches. Let me, you know, let's engage a little bit. But then we start to, once that's still all up in the realm of brain, head brain, right? Awareness, engagement. I mean, engagement is kind of getting more involved, but it's still conceptually playing around with these ideas. We haven't owned any of it yet.
Yes.
But we have to leave behind what was old before we can make room for what is new. And to make room for the true self, we have to enter that abyss part, right? That letting go, that some people call it the transformational metamorphosis, right? Where the caterpillar gets eaten by itself to become the butterfly, right? That's the abyss. That's the, and many people are finding themselves in that. And it feels like we're upside down and topsy-turvy and in the middle of the forest, in the middle of the dark, and not knowing which end is up. I mean, it feels very discombobulating and chaotic, because it is, right? A snake shedding its skin, you know, when the snake's old skin is coming off, the skin actually wraps the entire form of the snake, which means it goes over its eyes as well. So when that old skin is coming off, the snake is essentially blind for a period of time. So it has to use its other senses, which it uses a lot more anyway, but uses its other senses to navigate, right? It's very vulnerable during that time. We all feel very vulnerable right now because we're shedding our old to make room for the new. We're going through that abyss phase in order to own our true authentic selves, our true value. So that, I mean, it's a little bit different of a question and a posing than what James's question was. It's not, see, I don't think it's about this or that. I don't think it's about, you know, I have confidence or I don't have confidence. That it's about self-worth, is self-worth, you know, having to do with confidence. These are all aspects of process and development that we go through. And I think it's towards this idea of sovereignty, ownership, so that we can kind of crown ourselves with our own value and say, yes, this is my value. And it's not that we're going to marinate in it. It's that now that I know my value, just like Superman knowing he can bend, steal, and fly, I can now effectively go out there and serve with that value, knowing that that's the best lane for me to stay in, knowing that that's where I'm going to deliver my value and it's going to be most valuable and valued, knowing that if I leave that lane, I'm just not going to be as valuable, and stay true to that I have to give. And so confidence then comes from just knowing that if I keep delivering from that place of authentic value, I will continue to give value to the world. Right? I will continue to be able to bring my best forward. And only in leaving that lane, which sometimes I have to do because I need to learn lessons and it's a part of the process as well.
Correct.
But that then now it's not about so much serving my value, my best, it's about learning a lesson. And so we see that there's value in all of it, whether we're totally at our best, delivering our best value to the world, or whether we're not at our best and we're going through a massive up-leveling lesson. All of it is towards value in the end. And we can have confidence. I don't think of having confidence as much as I think what's important today is to have faith and to have grace in the process.
Da, da, da. You talk, you went da da da, and it's supposed to go da, but you go at the end, right? Yeah.
Through that word grace in, yeah.
You bring that word grace in and faith in. Cornelius, hey, good to see you, brother. He goes, well said. We've been programmed to seek security, which leaves so much wonder or imagination unrealized.
Ooh, I like that language, Cornelius. Yes. Unrealized for sure.
So I like your answer, and I like what you said about, the question about how can we operate in the unknown with confidence is just associated with self-worth. And then Cornelius brings in a different one. I think I can't touch what James asked, the question James asked with what you give. So I'm going to just slowly schmooze on over to what Cornelius said, right? In terms of we're programmed to seek security. And he says it as you're saying faith and what was the other one? And trust, grace. Grace.
We need to have grace with the process
of faith. When you were speaking, I had a question that I begged to ask, which was, and it may be rhetorical, as we're going through this process of finding ourselves, we have the ability to ambush ourselves, to ambush this process, where I think the ambush comes in when we don't have faith and we don't give ourselves the grace to allow us to be eaten or allow us to be blind, as you gave in your example. It's when we fight it and go, I can't stand this. And I love storylines. When God called me to say, leave corporate America to come and read the Bible and pray and open a foundation to build churches, schools, hospitals into places where I will send you, it was leaving a good chunk of income.
External security
that defined who I was. So that security was I had sought it. They said education was, and don't get me wrong, education is great. Go to school, get your education. It's important. I sought the security. It is, right? I sought the security. I was secure. And I would would be on the floor watching a movie, and I would think, what do I need in this life? And I would answer, nothing. I need nothing in this life. And I would just go, praise God. Yet and still, that security I had was only for me and my family. And the goal for us on this earth is not about securing me and my family. It's to take as many people along, to secure them, to uncover, to show them exactly what needs to be done in order for them to reach their full potential.
That's it.
Their self-worth, their confidence. It's why Traci wrote the book, Looking In, because you could have understood this thing for yourself and be, I've looked in and I'm better for myself now, yay. But it's not what God put you on this earth for. It's for you to go and help in terms of being alongside and not doing, because I know we've talked about this, we're not being enablers, but you're on the side saying, hey, you're going through that process. Guess what? You're about to get blind. Oh, I'm blind. Yes. Didn't we? Yeah, you're blind, but something's going to happen right after this blindness goes.
And furthermore, there's value to the blindness.
Yes.
So it's not even that you're supposed to bully through. The
So
blindness, that there's absolutely something you're supposed to surrender to in the blindness.
correct. So the person who Traci is, the person who Cornelius is, the person who Wulwyn is in this process of us given the gifts that have been given to us, and we are gracefully just pouring it out. And Traci, I'm led to tell you this. It's not about the money, dear. Woo.
Sure.
It's about the impact.
Yes, that's
It's about the impact. But
Thank
you
you.
see, with impact comes, you got the honey. When you have the honey, the bees, people will come. Bees don't call people. Bees don't call people. Once we taste that honey, we start running to where the honey is. And even if the bee stings, we're going to go and get the honey. What am I saying? As you're walking in this process, as you're walking in removing the W off your chest, Wonder Woman, because I don't want to say S, as you're showing this W on your chest for Waltman, not Wonder Woman anyway. You're about to uncover a whole lot of stuff for people. A whole lot of stuff for people that gives them the self-worth and the confidence for them to remove from security so that it can go into imagination and realize who they're supposed to be.
That's the empowerment process. Thank you. Yeah. And you just said something that actually is in my book. So there's 3 zones in my book that I talk about. Zone of brilliance, which is our innate value. Zone of achievement, which is our learned and earned skill sets. And when you put those 2 together and work with them collaboratively, you get zone of impact, because at the end of the day, our legacy is exactly what you just said. It's about impact. Money, you said it's not about the money, it's about the impact. Money is what we've equated to value. So those first 2 points are value points, the value of my innate traits plus the value of my learned and earned traits, right? My skills together, those 2 things co-create impact. Ultimately, it's about the impact we make, which is why, and that's absolutely why any of us do anything, whether we know it or not. It's that and guess what? We're always making an impact, whether it's a positive or negative one. At any time, we're impacting. It's the butterfly, the ripple effect, from the butterfly wings. Those butterfly wings, although so gentle, we think it's not making but a ripple, a small little ripple of wind. It is impacting so much. And is each of us, who are a lot bigger than butterflies, move through this world, every single second of our lives, we're making an impact. So what we're saying here is being intentional about that impact, right? And part of the grace piece, not only for others, but for ourselves. I mean, if we haven't learned grace with ourselves, we're not really practicing with others either.
Correct.
So when we're like, trying to push ourselves further than where we're ready developmentally. But one of the things that you said when you were talking about the and Cornelius's point kind of raised this at first for me. I was listening to something earlier in the week, and it was talking about material love. And what I started thinking of is, well, what would be the difference, between material love and what? Soul love or unconditional love. Material love is this idea of we get comfortable, right? And the stuff we're told that if we acquire, we will be happy, we will be fulfilled, we will do our lives duty. Material love and what? Soul love.
Don't worry.
There I am in replay.
Don't worry. Go ahead.
But material love is that idea, and the context of the information that was being given was material love. Is a lot of the codependency relationships, and people are starting to wake up to say, I'm in love with my big home. I'm in love with my paycheck. I'm in love with this relationship because it looks great on paper and is worth a lot when it comes to value, right? Money, right? That if I can't get a divorce, even though this relationship is not giving me what I need because it's going to cost me all of my material goods.
Yes.
That's material love.
Yes.
And are we willing to stay? And this is where a lot of people, again, hashtag Great Resignation, are leaving their jobs because they're realizing their quality of life is not the reality of their quality of life, is not in alignment with what they really want. Priorities are shifting in some cases. And in some ways, people were never aligned with their true core priorities. They were just doing what they thought they needed to do, had to do, should do,
Yes.
were required to do.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So now we're waking up
Yes.
to this. Well, what matters to me? Right. What do I want for my life? And what do I want? What am I in love with?
Mm.
And if I'm not in love with myself first, I mean, we have been so trained not to be, what do they call that? Narcissism?
Mm-hmm.
No, narcissism isn't self-love. I just want to make that bold statement. Self-love is essential,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely crucial. We are not going to be coming from an owned sovereign place if we don't start from a place of self-love.
Correct.
And there's so much deconditioning we have to do around that because we have been taught not to self-love. Right. And so I think that idea of, unconditional love, the reason why it is such a challenge for many of us, I know it's one of my sole challenges, because the moment that book Giving Tree was read to me as a small child, I had an issue with it. I both loved it and hated it at the same time. I remember it was a felt sense. I wanted my mom to read that book to me all the time. And every time she read it to me, I cried. Every time. And when I got older, I was like, oh, I can't stand that book, but I love it. Wow, it's this love-hate. And what I've come to recognize, when I was a coach, somebody gave it to my daughter when she was little, and she wanted me to read it. And I was like, oh, that book again. I was like, that tree needs to have some serious boundaries. If you know the book, The Giving Tree, where the boy and the tree, the boy loves the tree as a small boy and climbs the tree and picks her apples and swings from her branches, and they're best friends. And then as the boy grows, all he does, the only reason he comes to the tree is to take from her, is to take her branches to build something, right? Is to take her shade, is to take her apples so he can sell them and have money, right? And even in the end, he takes her trunk to build a boat to go and see the places he wants to see. And so there's nothing left but the stump. And even in his old age, he comes to sit on the stump when he's so old and frail, he has nowhere to go. And I remember thinking, that's so sad. The boy goes and takes the tree and does all these great things, and the tree has nothing. But in reality, the book is about unconditional love, because the one line in that book that repeats over and over was, and the tree was happy. Because the tree chose through unconditional love to give. Right? It wasn't about getting, and it wasn't even about having. It was about loving. And it took me so long to get that lesson, and I'm still practicing it. Like, I got it here. Haven't fully owned it yet.
Oh my goodness. Are you ready for what? Ooh. Now there's a book called The Holy Discontent.
I've heard of it.
The thing that you see and you read or you hear that truly makes you piss off at the world. It's the thing that you're discontented with, but the answer is within you. Now, as you were talking, look, this is beautiful. As you were talking, you had the so-called love-hate relationship with his book, right? And it's that thing was, and I'm gonna go on a limb and say this. And I'm getting some goosebumps here, and that's a good sign. Your walk when, and dare I say, you may never arrive at it. But in your quest, you will receive it and you will keep, but to you, you will never arrive. And that's a good thing, because
it's the hero's journey.
You become complacent and you're like, I've arrived. But here's the thing. When you start talking on here and you start going, your eyes start to squint and you start to pronounce and enunciate, etc., right? And sometimes if people don't understand you, they go, she's talking down to me. Because if I didn't know you, when you start to do that, I'm going, why is she talking down to the audience? Why? But no, that book in which you're attempting to uncover that which that is within the listeners, whomever you talk to, your family, your friends, your foes. You are attempting to uncover that unconditional love for them in order for them to go on and multiply that in wherever they're going. And what I'm hearing in your voice when you do that, whoo, and you start going, is the passion. It's the passion that runs that. And you don't have, and we've talked about this, you don't have to be apologetic to anybody, in which I think we've talked about where people have said, why are you like this? And you try to go in your corner and you're like, I'm busting out. What does this say? I want to talk now to, and I know I left it there with a comma. I want to talk to people who are listening. That thing that makes you so uncomfortable, but yet you still keep going at it. You still keep going to it. You keep reading it. You keep watching it. Mine was Nazi period movies, right? It's just watching Hitler do these atrocities, and I would read it and watch, and then I would just cry. My wife would go, why? I think we talked this here. Why do you keep watching it? I'm like, I don't know, I can't stand it. And it finally dawned on me, if one man could have a following to cause such a ripple. Remember, we were talking about ripples and being intentional. He was intentional of being hateful. He was intentional, and the dude was successful. Then this one man can have the intention of going and giving love. And again, it's tying in with your unconditional love into whatever I do in order to make change occur. Whatever you're doing.
Catalyzers.
Whatever you're doing, eavesdroppers, I'm telling you, whatever you're doing, if you have the scope of me, you haven't reached it yet. You haven't reached your true potential, your true purpose, because your true purpose will always be about taking mankind and making it better than how you met it.
Always. Amen. Amen. Absolutely. All the time. That is what I believe. I mean, my humble opinion, that is what every single human being came to do. Now we lose our way, or I can't even say we lose our way. We may get lost in lessons that we decided to learn, right? We may get lost in groupthink. We may get lost in what other people are telling us, right? But all that is lessons anyway. So it's not really lost.
Correct.
It's taking a longer road, in the journey, which is fine because it's necessary for whatever reason. So
Correct.
There's really no lost time or effort. But at the end of the day, it is about out-facing, not in-facing. So looking in, people say, oh, well, being self-reflective is good to a point. But I'm like, yes, I say looking in because that's the first place to start. The sooner you can get good with that. And again, to your point, we never finish. There's always iterations. There's always the peeling of the onion. But if we can get enough of a sense of self and value and worth and identity and what we're here as far as purpose and what we're passionate about, our passion purpose, then we can stop marinating and contemplating our belly button and start effectively applying that externally. Because, if people think that writing this book was easy, writing it was easy. Putting it in the world was not, because I'm just not one of those people. I'm just not, hey, look at me. I'm not. I don't care what people say about me or what they think. I'm telling you, I'm not one of those people. And so standing up in front, I can deliver it if I know it's coming from a passion purpose. But that's because for me, it's about you, not about me. So people like Gary Vee, I mean, the people who hate Gary Vee, okay. But the people who love Gary Vee, it's because he doesn't mince words. He's not here to hold your hand and walk you through it. And let's do let's do a group collaborative talk about this. No, he's here to tell you how he sees it.
Yep.
Because that's his passion purpose. That's the job or role he has claimed as his own on this planet. So you can love him for it. God bless you if you do, because guess what? He chose his rightful place. Or you could hate him for it. I would suggest to people who hate him for it, just spend more time on working on yourself and finding your own passion place. But either way, he has chosen his seat at the table. right? And so I think that, when we can have grace, it is about also recognizing we don't have to like the seat at the table, but when we make it all about whether we like it or don't like it, agree with it or don't agree with it, we're missing out on vital energy and time to apply to our own journey of finding our rightful place.
Correct.
And our own passion purpose.
Correct. Wow. The market. So I gotta go. I gotta say a couple things people are saying, but I want to come back to a marketplace. I want to talk about marketplace, and you touched it. Cornelia says the difference of Hitler and Gandhi, we must protect our heart. Paxton Bell. Hey, Paxton, how are you? Love you guys sharing your thoughts, joy, conversations, and truth. Really appreciate you being here.
Thank you, man.
When you were talking about Gary Vee in the marketplace, I heard marketplace. He's announcing, he's selling his wares. He's selling what he has. He's selling his product. And not everybody loves his product, period. And when you are thinking about going in the marketplace, so as I'm hearing this, I'm seeing Cornelius and his You Matter, right? He comes on, he goes, hey, I got something to say. You do that, and he has his shirts, he has his wares. There are people out there, Cornelius, who as soon as they see you, they go, oh, shoot, quick, mute. Don't feel bad about it. That's not your market. It's not your niche.
That's it.
And because someone turns you off or someone cuts you off from speaking, shouldn't stop you from speaking. Most of us kind of think we get to the place where when someone voices their opinion about us, we think it's our entire market, but that's just a sub-segment of your market.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Because if that market comes in and says, hey, shut up, and you listen to that market, the people who are supposed to hear your voice, you are doing them a disservice. So keep speaking as long as it is coming from a place of passion, as we said. When it's coming from a place of passion and its impact, and you've set your business model and said, this is the way I'm going to hit the market. And you're looking at all your indicators, but something just isn't clicking in terms of, nobody's buying, no income's coming. Trust me, keep going.
That's it.
Tweak it a bit, but don't change the function of who you are.
That's it.
Don't change that function of who you are, because sooner or later, soonest rather, someone is going to hear and see and go, oh gosh, I matter. And then you have a follower, one disciple who loves, cherishes, and listens and hears you is equivalent to 1 million of the individuals who have not heard or who've heard and said, shut up, because that one disciple will multiply and take what you've said, put it in their own form, and there goes your legacy going out in the world.
So
let me say this one thing, and you can ride in. I heard this this morning. The guy says, I don't go on social media. I hate social media. I'm like, wow. He says, it's their highlight reels that I sit and watch and compare it to my lifetime. It's the one that they pick when they go out and go, but it'll never show you so they pick those, they curate it and say, I'm always smiling, I'm always laughing. And the person who's watching it is not thinking that these are highlight reels, and highlight reels are just the highlights. And we sit down and compare our lives to highlights. Nah.
Yes,
come on, sister. Go ahead.
I was going to say, that's I'm glad you highlighted that highlight piece, because that's so important. And I don't know if anybody, this is kind of an old video, but if you just Google leadership and the crazy dancing man, I think that's what it is, crazy dancing guy, or leadership and crazy dancing guy, or something like that. You'll see it. But it's a video of kind of what you just highlighted, right? One guy at one of these like hippie Woodstock kind of concerts, and the music's playing, and the guy gets up and just starts tripping out, dancing. Like he is just full on he's feeling himself. And everybody's just kind of watching him like, wow, that guy's really going for it. And then a few minutes go by and one person gets up and starts dancing with him. And he's going, tripping out, dancing full out, giving it his all. Well, as the video goes on, one person is, you get to the end. And if you're sitting down, you look like the crazy one because everybody's full on dancing. And this guy wasn't trying to start a following. He wasn't trying to be a leader. He was just full on enjoying himself. And he started a movement, literally a dance movement. It's the greatest video. That's what we're talking about. And the other pieces, and we could use the book, The Giving Tree, as an example. The Giving Tree storyline has never changed. And at first I was like, I hate that book, but I kept coming back. And I kept coming back. And there was something calling me. It's like the siren song. Whoa, it's like calling you in. And you're like, yeah. And so it just kept serving the purpose of unconditional love. And I have over the years kept coming back and refined and peeled away until I could see why I was drawn to it to begin with. And that's when you said there's nobody following you and there's nobody listening and nobody buying your wares, that's why you keep on, because the passion is in your purpose and your value. Right. And if you can live that passion, first of all, you're going to be living passionately every day of your life.
Goodness.
But second of all, you're going to be living your purpose and value. And eventually you'll have social proof because people will start showing up and they'll be like, where were you all my life? It's like, and that's when we see these people who are the overnight successes.
Correct.
They weren't overnight successes. It's just all of a sudden there was a crazy dancing following that decided to arrive at their door. And they've been doing this for 30 years.
Yes.
With nobody following them.
Yes.
In Brene Brown's case, behind a desk doing research.
Yes.
Collecting study research.
Yes.
Nobody knew who she was except for the people in her department. And now the whole world knows who she is, right? But that's the piece that if we can believe in that, and I really feel that the reason we're being called to say this so strongly again and again and again, and really focus on it in this conversation, I believe, is now the time has met the need, right? When we see so many people doing quote unquote drastic things like just leaving their careers, and nobody knows what is this thing called the Great Resignation where everybody's just leaving. And it's not just jobs. They're leaving places, in some cases, countries. I'm leaving this country. This is not serving me, right? Yeah. I'm leaving this relationship. This isn't serving me. And just everybody's uprooting and on the move. What does that say? It means we're trying to find the space between, where what we're saying here applies to our lives. So it isn't about, I never felt comfortable when the market message was find out what your customers need from you and do that. That always felt like nails on a chalkboard to me, always. And I remember one time saying to someone, I'm not here to meet the needs of other people. I'm here to meet my own needs. And they were like, what? And what I meant by that was meet my own needs to serve in the way I was designed to serve.
Correct.
Those are my needs.
Correct.
I need to serve the way I was designed to serve. And I first have to start by understanding why I was designed the way I was and accepting it and owning it and loving it. Right?
So two things. Two things. Before I do two things, let me go on. Cornelius goes, they left years ago emotionally. Just found the courage to leave physically. Gotta go. Keep having these authentic conversations. Hey, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much.
And thank you for doing that, Cornelius, because I mean, those of us who see your value and see what you're doing. Oh yeah. I see what you're doing, man. I see you.
Correct.
I totally see what you're doing and why you're doing it. And I salute it all the way.
Sharing. And two things. One is, as you were talking, as you were speaking, and I wrote it down, I'm going to hit enter right after here. It's not overnight. It's a long haul. You're not meant to be viral, right? We're in this place where, gotta go viral. No, you're not meant to be viral.
Some people are, though. Can I say that? I mean, think about it. Players in a play, right? So some players in your life come and stay for a season. Some stay for a fraction of a second. Others stay for a long term. Each of us also has a staying power impact. Maybe some people are meant to go viral. That's the impact, a short, quick viral hit. That's what they came to do.
Agree. But
right? Others of us, though, it's the longer, draw out, so, I mean, I'm not even here to say we're all here to do it the same way, or we're all here to make the same kind of impact. I mean, obviously, if things go viral, then there's value in that somehow.
What I'm saying is the idea, I'm searching for something, I'm looking to do something that will go viral.
Yes, for sure.
You're meant to do your heart, your heart, your passion, your gut, your mind, your brain. That's what you're meant to do. Keep doing what you're doing, and your collection of work will go viral. It will go viral. Then going viral isn't wrong when you do something great, but when you're searching for, I want to go viral, But here's the main thing I wanted to say. Why did you bring that dancing thing up? What'd you call it? The dancing?
The crazy dance, leadership and the crazy dancing man?
Leadership video to view, leadership and the crazy dancing man. Okay, so let me tell you what happened at church on Sunday. I don't go up to dance. I don't go up to raise my hands. I stay in my seat and I enjoy my church. I enjoy the music. All of a sudden, they start playing this song. I'm dancing in the chains that one held me down, da, da, da. So it has a nice lyric, nice vibe to it. I'm like, gosh. So I go up. There's roughly about, 15 feet by 60 of space. Before that's an altar, there's their space, and then there's the seats. So Traci, I'm there, I'm just hanging out. And all of a sudden, I think about, oh, people are looking at me. And then the Holy Spirit goes, oh, it's not about that. You're dancing, you are worshiping me. You're not worshiping them. Your action should not be moved by what they do or say or see. And I go, okay, yeah. And then I continue dancing. All of a sudden, Traci, Holy Spirit tells me, bust a move across this area. I'm like, heck no, I ain't doing that. I'm not. But it was a suggestion. It wasn't a command. I'm like, I ain't doing that. The next one was go and invite other people to come and dance with you. I'm like, so I go and say, come and dance with me. I'm like, nah, I ain't doing that. I'm not doing that. So I stand there, dance, worship, praise, do what I do. It ends. I turn around. As I'm turning around to walk, this lady comes up to me. Hey, excuse me. I'm like, yeah. She goes, there is some, when you went up there, the Holy Spirit told me that he has given you the anointing to dance. And as you dance or whatever you do there, people are healed and free from seeing your actions. It's not who you are. It's not you, but it's what you do. And I go, okay, thank you. I took another 3 or 4 steps, Traci. Another lady comes and says, be bold, do it. She tells me just that. I'm like, oh my goodness. But here's the thing I got from meditating. When you dance before me, Wulwyn, you're dancing before me and not dancing before man. You see, religion is when you're doing it for man. So when you said this guy was dancing and people started to come in to dance behind him because they caught something, you didn't even know you were telling me, hey, dude, the thing that God has told you that when you go to church or wherever you go, do what I'm telling you to do. Don't worry about who's looking. Don't worry about who's not coming. Invite people, you invite and you leave them as is and watch and see what happens. It goes in line also with our passion. Do what's in your belly. Do what God has called you to do. Don't listen to what they're saying. Don't listen to what they're doing. Just do. And before you know it, they will come out and start. So I'm going to call you, I don't know, Miss Discerner, Miss Prophetess. Thank you for bringing that, because it hit me. It hit me.
Oh my God, I love that. That is so great. Well, and what I heard too is it's a miracle, really. Because what do we usually call miracles? What we call the transformational healings, or what we normally put the word miracle with. But miracles are when in the physical form, the spirit speaks, right? And so, those women who came up afterwards were basically telling you the same thing you heard from God when you were up there, right? They were just reiterating the same thing. Correct. Right? So they were willing to let their spirits be the spokesperson, right? To again, just drive home that point that yes, you weren't, I mean, not that you questioned it, but they probably sensed a certain hesitation and you listening and all that. And they were coming back up to say, be bold. I was drawn to understanding what this whole thing was about. Yes. And that's a miracle when the human or anything in physical reality shows up to either mirror or deliver a message from spirit. That's a miracle as far as I'm concerned. It isn't just the transformational stuff. Like, we have to look broader and not so myopic. Yeah. And I feel like, that happened to me earlier too. So I was taking a walk the other evening with my good friend, and she's a hypnotherapist, and she loves to, anytime something comes up, she goes, you want to do an exercise? I'm like, oh, okay. And I was in resistance around this one thing. And I was kind of a little bit, I was kind of in that space. And she's like, you want to do something? I was like, oh, okay, why not? I mean, I don't feel comfortable in this space. Might as well do something. And what she was asking me to do, she kept telling me, no, don't tell me the story. Tell me how you feel. Where is it in your body? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know where it is in my body. I was so in resistance. And everything she was trying, I was pushing back at. So we were at this point where she had said something. I was like, I don't know. She goes, it's okay not to know. And I was like, okay, well, then I don't know. Well, as soon as I said that, along comes one of my neighbors. This friend I was walking with doesn't live in my neighborhood. So this is somebody who I knew. Introduced her to my friend, and she called out to us something. So it wasn't like we're just like, hi, good to see you. She said something, so we stopped to engage in conversation. Well, the conversation I ended up having with her, when I walked away, I said to my friend, she was just smiling at me, and she's like, do you feel differently than right before we met that person on the road? I said, I do. She says, how do you feel now in your body? And I was like, well, I feel la 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 la. Oh my gosh. She said that was a miracle. That person showed up so you could work with the external world through conversation. The conversation wasn't even anything about what my friend and I were talking about or what was going on in me, but it was of similar resonance. It was similar energy. Wow. And she showed up to work with me in the third dimensional physical world, so I could get myself to this internal place of what we call surrender. Because I was not surrendering, man. I had it on lockdown and load, and I was ready to start shooting up the place. And it was I was like, that was a miracle. Wow. Because it was right where, because she says, you know what, you ask and it is given. So I said to you, think about when she showed up. I said to you, it's okay not to know. And you said, okay, then I don't know. The only way you can even enter the realm of surrender is to first admit you don't know. Because as long as you're in the story of I've got to figure it out, or I've got to know, or I do know, I just need to discover it, you're not anywhere close to surrendering. And without that surrender, I couldn't access the information she was asking me to access. It was amazing. So if we don't think that this stuff is happening every single minute of the day, we got another thing coming. So I want everybody to look for miracles in your life.
Yeah.
If you're struggling with something internally, just watch how it shows up. Something in your physical reality is going to show up and give you the opportunity to work through that exercise so you can get yourself in that space.
Amen. 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 Oh my goodness, Traci. I don't know. Before these shows, do you have, so before I played a basketball game, I had butterflies in my stomach. And the butterflies were, I found out later that they were to tell me that you're alive. You're alive. You're about to play a game. Before these, I'm not anxious. I think I'm more, I anticipate, I'm like, what are we going to talk about? I don't even know what we're going to do. What's the topic? I don't even know. Is it going to be a flop? Is it going to be, man, we'll just show up. And there it is. We've come to the end of something that we're looking back and going, wow, this conversation. James, Benton, Cornelius, was Paxton, and all the other individuals who came but didn't say anything. Wow, thank you.
Thank you.
Traci, take us out. Don't forget to tell them about the book while you're taking us out.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm right there with you. I get very excited. It's always anticipatory for me because I know that one of my favorite things to do, I was on a podcast the other day. Mike Manning does a podcast for BNI, and it's so much fun because it's just conversation. We talk about business and BNI, but it's mostly like get to know me hour. And he's like, oh yeah, if I could do this all day long, I love to talk, right? He loves to talk, but the value he offers through his passion for communication is extreme at the end, because he has a guy run the show for him. And he's like, so what were our numbers? And he's like, I don't usually tell people this ahead of time. He goes, I could have, because you could have handled it. But he's like, most of the time people will freeze up if I tell them how many people potentially are on these lives. But we had like almost 2,000 people watching, and I was like, that's so cool, because you never know. Like, you just don't know. I mean, you could be sharing something that is dear to you and it just hits someone in a way. I had a conversation earlier today with a gentleman who he's like, and I use the word grace because it came up in the conversation. He goes, I needed to hear that word today. So we are all here for one another. It's not that, oh, I have this great rhetoric that I'm so, no, we're being called to be the mouthpieces for whatever comes through. And I truly, humbly believe that.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what gets me excited, is because we have the opportunity. I mean, in this time and place with technology, we were told to go in during quarantine, and there's been a lot of really huge challenges during the time we've been in. There's also been some amazing opportunities to reach out, to touch one another in different ways that we weren't doing before, to realize that it's like, this life is the one we're going to make it to be. And I'm not going to wait around for somebody else to hand me my joy and my fulfillment. I'm going to go out and grab it.
Yep.
And if I like to talk and I like to share and I like to get ideas and I like to be inspired, then this is a happy place.
Yes.
And in my happiness, I know I'm delivering some value somewhere.
Amen.
So thank you for being my playmate in this, as I always say.
Yeah. And once again, Amazon.com, y'all go down, looking in Traci Waltman Phillips and Traci Phillips, and go and get your book. Love you guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Guys, take care.
Thanks,
Have
Wulwyn.
a good one. Bye-bye.